Chapter 8. The Promise. Chandrila, 4 BY. 3 days after Mon Mothma's speech. When you get back, come and find me. The man's voice echoed through the darkness as she raced across star bridges spanning the void. The voice echoed indistinctly, the speech garbled and confused. Morai hooted as she raced toward a circular gate. There, inside the gate, Ezra shook feebly on the floor, shivering as he fought against waves of pain. Above him stood an unfamiliar presence, its features shrouded in shadow save for a pair of glowing red eyes. "Ezra!" Ahsoka Tano shouted into the darkened room. She shot upright from a deep sleep, blood thundering in her ears as fear surged through her. "Ahsoka?" Ahsoka turned toward the woman's voice, her breath shallow and ragged. Moments later, a soft, warm light flickered on, illuminating the bleary-eyed, alarmed features of Leia Organa. By the light of the lamp, Ahsoka recognized the trappings of a hospital room, including a chair within which Leia had been sleeping. The door opened, and a 2-1B medical droid shuffled into the room. Leia raised a hand up to wave it away. As the droid shuffled back out of the room, Ahsoka mastered her breathing, soothing the fear that had spiked from her dream and her disorientation. "Where am I?" Ahsoka croaked, her voice hoarse from lack of use. "Chandrila," Leia explained. "You've spent 2 days in a Bacta tank. The doctor removed the sedatives yesterday afternoon." Ahsoka took a closer look at her surroundings. Through the window, she saw the lights of a city glimmering beyond the hospital. The lights reminded her of Coruscant, although the buildings had a sleeker, more organic aesthetic. "How do you feel?" Leia asked. Ahsoka looked down to the sheet covering her lower body, then rubbed a hand over her stomach. She smiled, saying, "I'd feel fine if I didn't keep waking up in strange places." Ahsoka looked away from her belly and met Leia's gaze. As Ahsoka studied Leia's face, a memory of the small child in an Alderaanian palace floated into her awareness. Ahsoka began, "I'm not sure if you remember that when I was a young girl, you helped me learn how to overcome my nightmares about the Shadow Man." Leia smiled. Ahsoka grinned. "The Shadow Man." Her grin subsided, and more somberly she said, "He's dead. The Emperor's dead," Leia affirmed. Ahsoka nodded in return, and both women shared a moment of quiet triumph. "I expect Bail would have been very proud of you." Leia's smile broadened, even as a wave of grief brought tears to her eyes. "Padme too," Ahsoka smiled. "Did you know her?" Leia asked eagerly. "Yes. I don't know if Obi-Wan told you, but I was close friends with your mother." Ahsoka hesitated, then added, "And both of your fathers." Leia's smile faltered, and a shadow passed over her face. Leia quickly recovered her composure, replying, "I want to hear everything about her." Ahsoka smiled. "She was a remarkable woman. I already see a lot of her in you." Leia's smile radiated gratitude, and she reached over to take Ahsoka's hand. "Welcome back to the Republic, Ahsoka Tano." Ahsoka's smile flickered at the mention of the Republic, but she recovered as quickly as Leia had at the reference to her fathers. Ahsoka tilted her head as she noticed Leia's flicker of apprehension, mirroring Ahsoka's faltering smile. Ahsoka raised her eyebrows, inviting Leia to speak what was on her mind. Leia hesitated, then said, "I was hoping to give you more time to acclimate and rest. I'm sure you could use a shower and a meal." As Leia trailed off, Ahsoka squeezed her hand. "It's okay, Leia. Go on." Leia exhaled, then said, her voice snapping into formality, "Mon Mothma has asked me to express her gratitude toward your return. She is hoping to meet with you to explore your interest in helping us defeat the Empire. She believes that, as a hero of the Republic, your involvement with the New Republic will inspire those longing for a return to democracy." "The New Republic," Ahsoka repeated, feeling the strangeness of the words as they left her mouth. She studied Leia's face, then added, "And that's not all." Leia smiled tightly, then affirmed, "No. My brother also wishes to speak with you about his intention to rebuild the Jedi Order." Ahsoka considered Luke's request and said, "I see." She paused, processing Mon Mothma's and Luke Skywalker's relayed requests. A frown creased Ahsoka's forehead, and she asked, "And what of Anakin Skywalker?" Ahsoka felt Leia stiffen. She withdrew her hand from Ahsoka's, saying, "What about him?" Ahsoka considered Leia, observing the hardness lurking below her diplomatic calm. "Well, if Mon Mothma hopes individuals with heroic statures will inspire and unite the galaxy, I assume that also includes you and your brother." "Yes," Leia affirmed warily. "And how would the knowledge that Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader affect Mon Mothma's ambitions on this matter?" Ahsoka asked. Leia shifted uncomfortably and looked away. "I see," Ahsoka replied gently. "You have not told her." Ahsoka paused, then added, "And you don't wish to?" With an obvious effort, Leia adopted a controlled composure. "My father was Bail Organa. Whoever Anakin Skywalker was before, I know him only as Darth Vader." Ahsoka studied Leia's face as she spoke, recognizing the anger and resentment shielded by her diplomatic calm. Ahsoka opened her mouth to speak before remembering something Anakin had said. "Well, not every stop on my apology tour has gone this well." After measuring her words, Ahsoka asked, "Do you wish for me to keep this a secret?" "Yes," Leia affirmed, a quiet desperation in her voice. "And your brother?" Ahsoka asked. "He feels differently, but he has agreed," Leia confirmed. Ahsoka exhaled, allowing her shoulders to relax. She recalled her own shock and disbelief on learning what had become of Anakin, and for Leia, who had suffered greatly under the Empire, the reconciliation would have to follow its own course. Recognizing that there was nothing to be gained from forcing the issue, Ahsoka acknowledged a genuine truth. "This is not my secret to share." Leia appeared visibly relieved, although she stiffened again as Ahsoka continued. "But," Ahsoka warned, "building the galaxy's recovery on an omission of truth carries grave danger. To use Anakin's legacy as a tool is understandable, perhaps even prudent, but in the long run, this could tear the galaxy apart. And like any lie, you will have to maintain it. This will require far more from you than acknowledging the truth." Leia looked away, conflicted. She gazed across the room, studying the blinking lights of a biometrics panel. After a full minute, Leia replied, "I understand, and I agree. In the long run, it becomes a liability. For now, I'd like to keep this between us, please." "Okay," Ahsoka agreed. As the matter settled, Leia relaxed again, and Ahsoka, seeing the resemblance to Padme, felt a warm, subtle joy, spreading as she considered the perfect blend of father and mother who had matured into a poised, dynamic, and powerful leader. "So much like your mother," Ahsoka smiled, and Leia turned toward her, tears welling in her eyes. Ahsoka smiled, then admitted, "I am starving. Will you walk with me to the cafeteria? I can begin telling you about your mother as we eat." Leia smiled radiantly and offered her hands to help Ahsoka out of the bed. With Leia's help, Ahsoka rose to her feet, and she steadied herself as she found her balance. Leia gestured toward an outfit, a light grey tunic, a white belt with a silver buckle, and light grey slacks. A white robe lay next to the folded clothes. "I'm sorry to say that your clothes were ruined," Leia explained. "Mon Mothma had you fitted for something befitting a Jedi, although it's still cut in the Chandrilan style. It will suffice." Ahsoka smiled. Minutes later, Ahsoka had changed, regarding herself in the mirror. The white cloak had an unfamiliar feel to it, but she was comfortable all the same. Leia nodded in appreciation, and the two left the room en route to the cafeteria. Ahsoka passed through the ornate halls of the Chandrilan Parliament, glancing at the work crews assessing the blaster marks scoring the walls. Ahsoka had read about the firefight that had broken out between Chandrilan Defense Forces and the Parliamentary Police, the latter of which had attempted to defend the pro-Imperial Chandrilan leadership. The destruction was less severe than she had expected, leading her to suspect that the battle had been short-lived. Leia walked alongside Ahsoka, glancing down from a datapad and looking up occasionally to ensure she did not trip. Another 45 systems renounced the Empire during the night, including Corellia. "That should please Han." Ahsoka followed Leia as she turned down a separate corridor, leading to an ornate wooden door carved out of Chandrilan oak. The wood diffused a rich, spiced scent, spurring a vague sensory memory that Ahsoka could not place. The guards on either side stiffened as they approached, and Leia held out an identification placard displayed on the datapad. The guards relaxed, and the one on the left opened the door, revealing a spacious circular office trimmed in white and gold. Behind the desk in the center of the room sat a woman with graying red hair, and beyond her a curved window revealing the towers of Hana City beyond. Mon Mothma looked up, smiling as Leia and Ahsoka entered. She pushed her seat back, then stood, her hands folded before her. "Welcome, Ahsoka Tano," Mon Mothma said, her voice soft and refined. "It is remarkably good to see you alive and well." "Thank you, Senator. I am grateful to see you in good health as well," Ahsoka said, inclining her head respectfully. "Please sit," Mon Mothma directed, gesturing to the plush chair before her desk. Leia remained standing, assuming a spot beside Mon Mothma. "How are you feeling?" Mon Mothma asked. "Well, thank you. I am grateful for the care, and aside from the disorientation of missing 7 years, I feel as well as I could expect," Ahsoka explained. "Yes, I would imagine," Mon Mothma said. "I expect Leia and others have helped bring you up to speed." "On most things," Ahsoka said. "However, there is one matter that I would like to ask about." "Which is?" Mon Mothma asked. "What became of the ghost?" Ahsoka asked. Mon Mothma leaned back, looking to the ceiling as she collected her thoughts. After the Battle of Lothal, Hera Syndulla, Rex, Zeb, and Kallus continued to fight for the rebellion. Both Hera and Rex fought at Endor, and I know both are eager to see you. "That would be welcome," Ahsoka smiled. Her smile faded as she recognized Mon Mothma's omissions. Mon Mothma continued, saying, "The Mandalorian Sabine Wren remained on Lothal, where she has facilitated the restoration of Lothal City following the Imperial bombardment." The description of Sabine's activities stirred something uncomfortable in Ahsoka. Recognizing that Mon Mothma appeared hesitant, she prompted, "And Ezra?" Mon Mothma sighed, then explained, "Ezra Bridger vanished on Lothal, taking an Imperial Grand Admiral with him. We have had no communication or clue of his whereabouts since then." Ahsoka frowned. For her, it was only days ago that she was with Ezra in the world between worlds. For Mon Mothma, it had been 4 years. Why did Sabine remain on Lothal? Why didn't she return to the Mandalorians? As to Ms. Wren's reasoning, I would have to defer to her, as I only know what Ms. Syndulla has relayed. She explained that Sabine felt she owed it to Ezra to remain on Lothal. She's done a great deal to help the Lothalis. As to why she hasn't returned to Mandalore, that is because there is no longer a Mandalore to return to, Mon Mothma explained. "What?" Ahsoka exclaimed, her brow furrowed in horror. She glanced at Leia and recognized Leia's obvious disturbance at the discussion of a dead planet. "The Empire carried out a purge after you disappeared. Millions of Mandalorians died, and the remains of Mandalorian society and culture have scattered across the galaxy," Mon Mothma explained sadly. "Much like the old Iranians," Leia added, her voice rich with sorrow. Ahsoka glanced between the two women, then returned her focus to Mon Mothma. "I see," Ahsoka said, her own sorrow swelling as she recalled the Mandalore of old. The three sat in silence, reflecting on the fall of Mandalore. Eventually, Mon Mothma broke the silence, saying, "I understand that Leia has already relayed my request that you join the New Republic to aid our fight against the Empire." Ahsoka straightened up, shifting her focus out of recollection and back to the moment. "Yes, she has," Ahsoka stated. "And what are your feelings on this matter?" Mon Mothma asked, her eyebrows raised slightly in anticipation. Next to Mon Mothma, Leia's focus also deepened. Ahsoka paused, feeling a fleeting hesitation. Willing the hesitation to pass, she said, "I'm afraid that I will have to decline." She turned to Leia and said, "The same holds true with helping your brother restore the Jedi Order." Mon Mothma's disappointment was subtle but still discernible. "May I ask why?" "Before I returned, I made a promise. I must discover whether I can keep it before I do anything else," Ahsoka stated. "A promise to whom?" Leia asked. "Ezra Bridger," Ahsoka said. "Ezra is gone," Mon Mothma said, a current of sadness and pleading underlining her voice. "We've looked throughout the Lothal system and along their last known trajectory. The trail goes cold at the unknown regions. Furthermore," as Mon Mothma paused, Leia added, "Thrawn." "Ezra and Grand Admiral Thrawn vanished together," Mon Mothma said, "and," Should Ezra return, my concern is that Thrawn would return as well, which would complicate our efforts to defeat the Empire, Leia added. Ahsoka smiled, saying, assuming that Ezra hasn't already dealt with Thrawn. But that is not the Jedi way, is it not? Mon Mothma asked. No, it is not, Ahsoka admitted. I never met Thrawn, but I know him by reputation. Those who knew him felt he was the most dangerous man in the Empire after the Emperor, even more so than Vader. I can't imagine Ezra would allow him to come back. And I cannot imagine Thrawn would allow Ezra to come back either, Mon Mothma replied. Ahsoka paused, considering Mon Mothma's assertion. Still, I must try. A promise is a promise. It would appear as if you and Ms. Wren are of the same mind, Mon Mothma replied. The trouble is that Ms. Wren is no closer to finding him now than she was 4 years ago. Mon Mothma paused, reflecting on something internally before adding, I am not convinced that Thrawn is dead. It is possible that before long he shall return, and with him will come a renewed threat. Our primary imperative is to stop the Empire while we still can. I, too, would welcome Ezra's return, and I feel our aims are sympathetic. I request that you inform us as to what you learn of the Grand Admiral. We can spare a ship and an escort to reach Lothal. Once there, find Sabine Wren and learn what you can. If there's a way, I trust you will find it. Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka, recognizing that the interview was ending, rose to her feet. I thank you, Ahsoka said. Then it is settled, Mon Mothma declared. In 4 hours' time, a shuttle will take you to Lothal. Discover what you can, and when your quest is complete, please return to us and share what you learn. I will, Ahsoka nodded. Then to both women, she said, May the Force be with you, before turning to leave the office.